Okay, hey everybody. It is, I'm filming this on the weekend. I threw on my clothes. I'm actually house sitting. I call this my test kitchen. And I'm gonna go ahead, let me put my hair up. I've been wanting to make empanadas for quite a while, and I personally try and stay away from any type of grains. That's good enough. I personally try and stay away from any kind of grains just because I feel like my body functions better that way. So I wanted to make some empanadas with cassava flour. Here's the cassava flour. So I wanted to show you, this is the cassava flour that I use. This cost me probably around, I'd say, $10 to $12. And it is, it's 2 pounds of cassava flour, and you can get this typically at Whole Foods, or you can buy it online as well. I'll give you that information. But cassava is, it's a root, and it's really nice and fine, and it's a good alternative to using wheat and to using like a nut base, almonds, etc. So here's the cassava. This is about, I'd say, half a cup of cassava flour. And I wanted to use this for my empanadas, a nice press, but I don't want to use a lot of oil in this, so which means that I need a little bit more oil in order to make this sticky so it can come off nicely. And so instead of doing that, I decided to use little muffin tins. So I'm going to line the tin, and then I'll put the ingredients here. I'll put that into, make them like into a little pocket. So I wanted to show you what I have. And any kind of vegetables that you have in your refrigerator, just go ahead and pull them out. The trick is that you want to chop them really fine. So let me see if you can see this. Do you see that there? So I cut them ahead of time, made my marks, cut through, and now I'm gonna go ahead and I'll chop those in a minute. And that's what they look like. And I have some parsley. I love parsley when I cook because it adds a really nice freshness to it. And this has some good iron in it as well. I include scallions in most everything that I do. I decided that I was gonna go and do a jalapeno. This one is actually a serrano chili. Take a look at this. And the trick with the serrano chili, so it's not so spicy, is that you want to take out this middle section. Just scoop it out, and then you can go ahead and dice up your chili. If you don't have serrano, then go ahead and use jalapeno, whatever you have on hand. So we have this. I had some frozen broccoli, you know, the tops of frozen broccoli. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I squeezed out all of the water. I let it defrost, squeezed really hard, and took out the water from this because I don't want the empanada or the Cupcake-Enadas to be mushy. So the other thing that I use here is, because a lot of people need something to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, I want to show you, let me show you the packet. But this is a faux meat. Can you see this? It already has like the grill marks on it. It's nice and springy, and it's Beyond Meat. And so I think if you're trying to transition and you just need to have something, a meaty flavor, then just go ahead and take 1 or 2 of these, and we're gonna chop that up finely as well, okay? And then I've got my mushrooms. Mushrooms I use in everything. This is also a really good protein. It adds a delicious flavor. If you wanted this to be a little bit nuttier, then you could pre-cook this, make it a little bit crispy, and it gives another dimension to the food. But right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just chop everything up. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, remember I pre-cut these. So I'm just gonna go and cut these up. And I'm gonna cut them up tiny because the tin itself is tiny. chopping this up reminds me of when I was a young girl. I was always the designated cook in my family, and I didn't have any lessons. I just learned how to do things by throwing things together. And it still is with me today. And when I speak with my son, and I say to my son, how do you think I made this food? And he knows now, just chop everything and throw it together. For me, the easier the better. So here's my parsley. Typically, I like to roll the parsley together, make a little tiny package, and then I'll go ahead and chop, okay? I'm a slow chopper. I tend to be meticulous. I know that you're supposed to fold your fingers over, but that's not me. I'm a slow chopper. All right, so all I do is I chop and I put everything aside. And then once I have everything aside in my little dishes, then I can go ahead and combine everything. That's just the way that I found that it was easiest for me. So just make this as small as possible, okay? Because it's gonna go into the tin. I'm always envious of, you know, those cooks who can hold their fingers under and chop super fast. But really, I like to take my time, get a feel. You know, as I'm cutting these mushrooms, I'm getting that earthiness smell, which I love so much. All right, so that goes there. Move this aside. We're gonna combine everything, so it doesn't matter if you mix things up, all right? So here's our broccoli, and the broccoli, again, we're gonna cut this finely, and as you're building your Cupcake-Enadas, or whatever we're gonna call them, you're just gonna be stuffing them, all right? I'm gonna put all the vegetables together, and you're the one that's gonna decide, how much you want of a certain vegetable, all right? If you don't like mushrooms, don't cook mushrooms. Part of the way that I cook is that you try things out. If you don't like it, don't do it again, but at least try, right? So only use the ingredients that you like. And if you're not sure how to use a certain ingredient, just go ahead and post something in the comment below, or go to the Facebook page, Marin Health Nuts, message me, and I'll get back to you. And if it's something that is on the menu, I will go ahead and make it, and then I'll post it so you can see. All right, so this right here is the faux meat. It's the Beyond Meat, and I really like the one that's the Southwest style, because it's already flavored, especially if I'm in a time crunch. So I'm gonna put this in the bowl, and this one I wanna show you. Take a look. So you know just how fine it should be. Look at that. Super, super tiny. Okay, then I cheated. Usually I go ahead and put my fresh herbs together, but the spice that I have here, this is a Thai spice. I happen to be at a discount store, and I was looking for all of the ingredients to make myself fresh, because they had a nice organic section. I think it was Food Mart, and I saw this spice. So it turned out that it was delicious, and it's gonna save me time. All right, so we have everything chopped. Now, again, we're using cassava flour. If you don't particularly care for cassava flour, or if it's not in your area, the other thing that you could do is, we're gonna be putting this in the oven and baking this probably at about 400 for about 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other, and then we'll see if it's done. Each oven is different, so make sure to test out your oven. But I wanted to show you this. Instead of using the cassava flour, I also like to use this. This is rice paper, and maybe I'll do this rice paper in another video, because they make really good spring rolls, and they're super, super easy to make. And you just do a line like I did with chopping everything up. Oven's ready. Perfect timing. All right, so I have my pan, and this is a non-stick pan, and I do that on purpose because I don't want to add extra oil. Usually when people make these cassava tortillas and other items, they put oil into the batter, and I don't want any oil. I don't want any extra oil, and I just want to use the flavors and see how that comes out. So this is about a half a cup of the cassava flour. Right now I have a half a cup of water, but I'm probably only going to use about a quarter of that. So let's get started. I'll pour in about half of this, and you want to make a nice dough ball. So you just want to go slowly. If you've never worked with flour before, any kind of flour, the key is that you want to go ahead and work slowly with the water, because too much water, then you're going to end up being SOL if you don't have any more of the cassava flour or whatever flour base that you're using, okay? Now, if you're going to be working with coconut, or you're going to be working with like an almond meal, just know that those particular flours sucks up water quickly. So just be careful. So let me show you. Remember how in school we used to make Play-Doh, and it had that consistency? It's going to be the same consistency with the cassava. So let me show you what it looks like in the bowl. And I'm coming close because I don't have all of my camera equipment. So do you see how this is? Sucked up all the water. Let me go here. I want to show you what this consistency looks like, okay? I could have used a little bit more flour, but what you want to do now is super easy, right? And who's eating this? I'm eating this, all right? So don't worry about it if your hands are clean. This is how you make your pizza balls and all of that. But do you see this? Look at that. Perfect consistency. So now what we're going to do is one of two different ways. We can go ahead and line the cookie sheet with the bottoms of the cassava, right? We're going to make little cakes, like a cupcake with an indent, and then we're going to stuff it, and then we're going to put a top over. It's going to be super simple. Now you could take little by little and put whatever you want in the pan. Let me show you. And I wish I had my other camera with me so I could be doing a close-up at the same time, but I'll bring this pan a little bit closer so that you're going to see it. But I'm going to line two right now. I don't know what the obsession is with cupcakes. I've never been a cupcake girl. It was always cookies. I had this thing about cookies, and then my cookie obsession got to be too much, and I ended up having to do some hypnotherapy through that, believe it or not. And I was cured from my cookie obsession. All right, so what we're gonna do is, so I've lined the little cupcake area. You can see the indent, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna stuff the vegetables in there, spices, and then put the lid on it, all right? That's one way that you can do it. However, we're all pressed for time, and I try and be efficient with my time. So all of the vegetables that we cut up, I'm putting this in the bowl. Right in the bowl. Everything that I cut up goes in the bowl. Scallions, parsley. I'm going for speed. I love broccoli, so I'm going to do some more broccoli. More than the other vegetables. Here is your meat, the Beyond Meat. Now, normally I would not put this in there, just so you know. I'm fine with just having all plants, but vegetables. But go ahead, and I'm going to do this right now. My son, I'll make him some as well. Here are the mushrooms. Love mushrooms. I'm going to put them in there. I forgot my serrano chili, so what I'm going to do is I'm taking out the middle quickly. Please, when you're slicing this, anytime you use a chili and you're slicing out the innards, the guts, please remember to wash your hands, because God forbid you go and take the spice, the seeds that you cut up. It's huge spice in there, And if you have any on your fingers and you happen to touch your eyeball, you will end up screaming. It's so painful. How do I know that? Been there. All right, so I'm just quickly cutting these. And again, I do everything small because, and the reason why I take my time in cutting up is because there's a certain way that food hits your tongue and the way that it mixes. So I'm a huge believer in taking your time when you're building a meal or your salad. It takes no more time to grate a carrot than it does chop it, and the way that that carrot hits your palate in a salad is completely different. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I am chopping my serrano as small as I can. It's noisy. Oh my God. So I'm chopping this serrano pepper, and it reminds me of the time that my son, he was probably 13, 14. I think that's when boys do their silliest things. And we went to the like the indoor farmers market, and he decided that he wanted to eat was it a ghost pepper? It was some sort of pepper, and I said, oh, that's a stupid thing to do, but if that's what you want to do, you know it's going to be a problem. Well, once we got out to the parking lot, he just popped one in his mouth and ate it. We didn't make it but a half a block before he practically threw himself out of the car. Snot dripping everywhere, screaming, because who the hell eats a ghost pepper? A 13-year-old boy. So we ended up having to stop there for half an hour. Needless to say, he drank all of the almond milk that I had bought for the week. I think he learned his lesson. It's too funny. All right, so let me come closer. I put everything in the bowl, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm mixing everything up because it's easier for me to have everything mixed and then fill up the little cupcakes. All right, I am saving the spices because I'm gonna put a little bit inside and I'm gonna put some on top. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Thai spice in there. All right, so any big pieces that happen to go in there and you're crunched for time, just take them out. All right, so this is beautiful. It's looking good. So I'm gonna quickly, this will probably make, I would say 8 with the cupcakes in there, the cupcake tins, and then their lids. You don't need a lot for their lids. So all I'm doing is I'm throwing little tiny balls into the tin, and then I'm pushing down. Super simple. Again, if you use a non-stick cupcake pan, you won't have to put in any extra oil. I have a friend who, he's a health coach, and he helps people lower their cholesterol and talks to them about their plant-based diet. And he's asked me to make a couple of meals and some recipes that don't use oil and salt. So this is one of them. I'm not using oil and I'm not using salt. Now my spices more than likely would have some salt in there. This is what I'm using. Use anything that you like. Can you see that? So I happened to see it and I thought, it's a spicy Szechuan 5 spice. I said, forgive me. I thought it was Thai and Szechuan is fine. So I usually put this little plastic over it, especially when it's a big jar and I'm not sure if I'm going to use it all. Let's come up again. Look at that. It's got everything in there that I might want. And again, I'm a little lazy. I like a lot of spice. So I'm going to add some extra on the inside. I'll put this back on my little catch-all. And I'm going to mix it, okay? Let me show you what my tins look like. These are ready to go, okay? Nothing fancy. We're just putting it in there. And these are going to be some beautiful snacks. You can make a nice meal around it too. All right, so I'm gonna do my best to fill all these up. And again, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be super clean. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there. Then I'm gonna use the rest of the dough that I have to try and make little tops for it, and I'll enclose it all, and then I'm gonna stick it in the oven. And in the oven, it's set for 400 degrees. Remember, each oven is different. Yours might run a little bit hotter. So just test it out, all right? If you haven't baked in a while, test it out. See how hot things get, how quickly they cook. And you know what? If you happen to burn one, no big deal. Set the timer, whether it's on your phone or it's on one of those egg timers. If you're not sure about your oven, these should be done in about, I do 5 minutes, and then I'll take a look at my oven. I'll open up the door, I'll see how brown they are. I'll turn my pan around because heat doesn't distribute evenly in a lot of ovens, and this is a test kitchen for me right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the tops on, and then when they're done, you'll be able to see the final picture. And I can't wait. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more of the spice on top. My lids are gonna go on, and I'm excited. Lids need to go on, and then we should be good to go. All right, our little cupcakes, our Cassava Cupcake-Enadas, they are ready to go in the oven. I'm looking forward to this, and I can't wait to taste it. So we're gonna slide that in. I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes because this is a new kitchen. I haven't worked here before, so I'm gonna wait to see how things are in 5 minutes. I'm gonna just crack open the door, test it out, see how brown it is, meaning test it out. I might use a little toothpick and go in and see if it feels doughy or feels crunchy. And those are just things that you learn how to do. If you're not used to cooking, that's cool. You know, it's all trial and error. I've made a lot of different types of food where I thought, oh my God, it's total crap. But it might have looked like crap, but it certainly tasted good in the end. So get healthy, get cooking, and I'll have pictures when these come out. All right, so the empanadas are done. It turns out that, you know, because I wasn't sure about the stove, since it's not a stove that I've used before, I was checking it in 5-minute increments at 400 degrees. So it turned out that I needed roughly about, I'd say 15 to 16 minutes to cook my Cupcake-Enadas. That's what I'm gonna call them, my Cupcake-Enadas. So let's go check. All right, look it. Doesn't that look great? I'm gonna try one. All these dogs are killing me. All right, so when I first tried to make my empanadas, they didn't work out, and so what I ended up doing was I ended up flattening it. I blended everything together in here, and then I flattened it. Let me show you. So this, you know, when something doesn't work out, you just kind of repurpose it. So this is actually quite wonderful, and it's good. I could have this like a pita, or I could go and bake it a little bit longer, cut it into triangles, and then I could have my, like a pita, like a pita chip almost. But this is wonderful. So the ones that I made like this, I'm gonna freeze them. All right. Let's take a look. My camera angle's a little funky, but I wanted to show you. Take a look at this. And here are my little cupcakes. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? So I ended up putting some oil on top of it because I just didn't want it to be that dry. I just brushed on some oil. You don't have to. You don't have to brush on the oil, but I did. So my lighting here is kind of sucky, but look at that. Delicious, right? Let's try it. See it? Mushrooms. Chicken is in there, the faux chicken, the fake chicken. I can taste the serrano chili. Look at that. And it's nice and moist on the inside. Look at that. So good. So this is my Cupcake-Enada. Absolutely yummy. Look how cute that is. You can use that for some, if you have a bowl of soup or a side salad. But there you have it. Cooking in the kitchen is actually pretty easy. Chop everything, use your imagination, put it together, and if it fails, then just repurpose it and make it into something else. But anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was easy for you to make. Leave me a comment below if you can. And I look forward to walking along your plant-based journey with you. All right, talk to you later. Visit Marin Health Nuts Facebook group, Marin Health Nuts, or Facebook page, Marin Health Nuts. All right, talk to you later.